where a devastating malnutrition crisis has gripped the Zamzam camp in North Darfur. Joining us for this exclusive interview is Jean Guy Vataux. He's the head of mission of Sudan. Jean, the recent assessment. Firstly, welcome to Salam Media, and thank you so much for joining us. The recent assessment of Doctors Without Borders in the Zamzam camp north of Darfur paints a very dire picture of the malnutrition crisis unfolding there. Could you maybe just provide us with more insight into the scale and the severity of the situation in that part of the world?
Yes, thank you for having me. Zamzam camp is the largest displaced camp in Darfur. It was created during the 2002-2010 big Darfur crisis. People have stayed there, and since the beginning of the new war, since last April, a new wave of displaced people have reached the Zamzam camp. The population is estimated around 300,000 people. Now, since the beginning of that new war, there has been no assistance, almost no assistance to that population. There is a huge economic crisis. You cannot make a living at the moment in Darfur. The commodities are getting scarce on the market, and the prices of them have skyrocketed. So the situation is, of course, that the malnutrition rates have increased. We made a study early January to measure how much it has increased, and the results are extremely bad. We have seen malnutrition at 25% of children are malnourished. Among them, 7% of the whole children population is severely acute malnourished. That means concretely that those children, those 7%, will die in the coming days or weeks without treatment. You have also malnutrition for adults. We measure them for the pregnant and lactating women. 40% of them are undernourished, malnourished. So this situation is very bad. We measured also the mortality rate in those camps, and it is for the general population 2.5 per 10,000 per day. It might not mean anything to your auditors. Let me say it's 2.5 more than the emergency threshold. It's 10 times the normal mortality rate, if you want. So we have that for the general adult population, and the similar huge rates for the under 5. So the situation in that camp in Darfur is catastrophic. We don't use that word lightly, and it is very plausible that we will find the same situation in other populations, other displaced camps all over Darfur, and maybe somewhere else in Sudan.
I just took a quick look on the report that you guys have released, and it indicates that almost a quarter of children screened in the Zamzam camp were found to be acutely malnourished, with a significant portion suffering from severe acute malnutrition. What factors have contributed to such alarming levels of malnutrition, particularly amongst vulnerable groups like children and pregnant women?
Yes, it's difficult to answer precisely that question. What has not contributed to that malnutrition rate would be outbreaks. You could have malnutrition rates rising because of outbreaks of diarrhea, of measles, very often. We did not have such outbreaks yet in those camps. Violence also could be a factor for mortality rate, huh? But the high rate of mortality that I indicated just before, violence was not a factor into that. What caused those high mortality were simple disease. If you take only malaria and dengue fever, that's 1/3 of the death for the adult population in that camp. If you look at children, if you take malaria, respiratory tract infection, and malnutrition, that's more than half of the mortality. So it's just a general and steady deterioration of the nutrition situation in that camp that is responsible for such high rates.
I also noticed that Doctors Without Borders (MSF) is the only large international NGO that's providing pediatric care at the Zamzam camp. I'm sure it must be a nightmare working in those conditions. Could you share with us some of the challenges that you are facing, in trying to provide healthcare to a situation that's looking dire and dire, I'm sure, in every day that passes.
Yes, the main constraints for humanitarian organizations in general in Darfur would be a security situation that has been bad in the past. It has improved recently. We hope it stays this way. You have logistical constraints as well for access. I just made the road from El Fasher to Chad. It takes 2 days with a very good car, and more, of course, if you want to bring supplies. And then you have some administrative challenges as well. Difficulties to get visas, difficulties to get importation permits or travel permits for staff. So it's an accumulation of all those factors that make it very difficult for NGOs to intervene in Darfur.
And just lastly, before I let you go, what is the MSF's call to action, regarding this issue? What are you calling the public to help you with? How can people get involved? Because I'm sure it's a situation that can collapse at any given moment if there isn't, any action that is rendered for the people of the Zamzam camp in Sudan.
Yes, what it takes to improve the situation in Zamzam camp and most likely in a lot of other camps in Darfur. First is security for the population itself, security for the humanitarian actors. It needs also fast-track procedures to be able to send there a massive amount of foods, drugs, humanitarian personnel, health personnel. We need in those camps large food distributions. They have not been done for more than a year because of the security situation. We need water to be supplied. At the moment, there's no water supplied to that population, and a huge increase in healthcare. We are doing what we can, MSF, but we are far from being able to respond to all the needs in such a large population.
No, thank you so much, Jean. You're painting a very, very dire picture there. For those that want to get involved with Doctors Without Borders, how can they get hold of you? How can they contribute? I know you're taking donations. How can they go about it?
Yes, they can connect to our website, msf.org, and everything is indicated there.
All right, thank you so much, and hope we'll chat to you soon. And hopefully, the next time that we catch up, the situation will be better than it is currently.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Jean-Guy Vataux. He's the head of mission in Sudan. They're painting a very dire picture there about the Zamzam camp, where a child dies almost every day due to malnutrition. They're pointing a number of factors that are contributing to that. But I think the overarching one, the main one, being the issue of malnutrition. You can get involved with Doctors Without Borders. You can check their website and maybe you can contribute in any way. I'm sure they're taking all kinds of donations. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be looking into a story that's very inspiring. We'll be speaking to Fatima Gadi. She's raising funds for childhood cancer. In memory of her closest friend and lead brother, Yusuf Gadi. She'll be chatting to us about how she got involved with the Cows Foundation, a cancer organization there that's assisting to raise funds for kids that are, suffering for all kinds of cancers. But with her, it's different. Her own brother succumbed to the disease, and now she's, raising awareness on how other people can get involved and how they can help remedy the situation of other young children that are suffering from cancer. That's going to be happening after the break. But for now, it's goodbye. We'll see you after the break.